okay with the windows
Check.
open?
Noise.
Oh,
that's ambient background noise if the window's open. And we've also got Big Ben. If I put my cup down on the table here, if I go, there's a very ominous kind of sound. So I'm going to put this piece of paper underneath it, and that's not going to help at all. But I'm going to feel better, because feeling is everything, right? Feeling is everything. That's why you buy shit, because it makes you feel better. A lot of the time. And I'm going to check it on the phone that it's going out okay, because
so good morning. We are here in Lossiemouth.
we are. Lossiemouth is a beautiful place to be, especially this morning. This morning was just top.
Yeah, great sunrise here. Looking over the Firth to Bucky. Sun was amazing. The sun was amazing this morning.
Because I don't have headphones for you, because I'm a spoon. You have to talk into the mic. Yeah. Thank you. I just rather than insult other people, I just go around insulting myself, and then I feel better. When people say it's okay. Let me just click the button here. Make sure there's some audio coming through. There you go. There's audio coming through. We can see ourselves. Dun, dun, dun. You know, I specifically have my morning planned out. Yeah, Made in Moray. Welcome to Made in Moray. I specifically have my morning planned out where get my breakfast before the sun comes up, and then as the sun comes up, sit with my computer and work away. But the bastard sun has moved. Can you believe it? It's moved from there to there.
Shocking.
So I know so I'm going to have to move my morning position. Can you believe it?
Oh, me.
I know. I've got to move from this side of the room to the other side of the room. Stress.
Tough life, man.
What
else is going to go wrong today?
I don't know. I'm probably. I was wondering.
Son, please.
Yeah. Could you move it? Could you move it back? Could you put it back over there, please? I know it's you. I know you did it. Yeah, I know you did it. Just to be like, yeah. You're like, I know. I'll move the sun this morning so he doesn't get the sun. Because if you don't get just, it's all Looney Tunes. If you don't get the sun, you know, like if you don't get like 15 minutes of sun a day or something, you get sick. It's like there's some statistical average that the human body needs a certain minimum amount of natural light. It needs to absorb from the sun each day. Otherwise, the body doesn't produce whatever it is that the body needs to produce. You probably know that.
I didn't know that you would die, or at least negatively suffer.
Well,
I know that
it won't happen instantly.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the body is a fairly adaptable, amazing biological miracle to an extent.
It is.
I also am aware that you're talking about sunlight, but also speaking of human contact, and babies who don't have human contact will sadly die.
Is that true? Like if they don't have contact with people?
Yeah. And I only know this because some consider them to be cruel. Tested this out.
Okay.
On with a placebo group as well of infants.
How do you?
I believe them to be orphans.
How do you test it out without it actually being cruelty?
Well, they tested it out to the point of these babies dying.
Well, obviously not dying. Well, hopefully, obviously not dying. But
I just almost said dying.
Are you serious?
No, I am serious.
Because I know that the scientists have got a lot of weird experiments that they do, right? They push things to extremes, and it's kind of crazy that we have we have laws in one country that say, oh, this is totally unethical. You shouldn't do this ever. And then you hop over the border to another country and they're like, oh, we don't have any laws about that at all.
Yeah. I mean, probably a Google search would come up with the group that did this, but I believe it was probably Second World War time. I'm not going to put some guesstimates on who and what location.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It happened, and at least a few dozen infants died through this test.
You know, there was they used to have hospitals called helio hospitals, where people would go to receive sunlight therapy. Actually, used to be whole helio hospitals, they were called.
So it was like giant sunbed rooms.
Well, people would just, it'd be like Mediterranean beaches, I imagine. People would just lie down in the sun, obviously find a sunny place, probably up some mountain somewhere, and they would be healed by the sunlight, and that was the whole kind of therapy. There was also another experiment I read about, which was some scientists again, they wanted to discover if they wanted to discover what the effect of smoke and fumes and different gases were on kids. And so what they did was they filtered these gases and smokes into kids' wards and hospitals, and then I mean, could you imagine anything more? The kids are already sick, right? And they're like, well, we'll just test it out on them because they're already sick anyway. And as if you need to do something bad to know that it's bad.
So right? They were trying out like poisonous substances.
Yep. That's a dark topic. That's a dark topic.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, world. How many bodies are buried in your garden today? Wow. Let's change the topic. Let's zoom forward. I want to rewind. Yeah, because you've been away for 2 weeks. Well, not away for 2 weeks. I haven't seen you for 2 weeks because you've been busy with life, right? And you hopped off to Barcelona, was it?
Yeah.
For a few days.
Went there for about 5 days.
5 days. Okay, so I got
5 full days.
Yeah. Can I ask you some questions about Barcelona? Because I was there a hell of a long time ago, and it was a fantastic place to be. Apart from the fact my sunglasses got stolen, which was my own fault.
Right from under your nose.
Right from under. These. How do they do that? Where do they learn how to do that? You've got to. If you
seize the moment. If you're
a thief.
If you're of that nature.
If you go on holiday now, you have to tie everything to you in some way so that it doesn't grow wings.
When it comes to a backpack, if we're sitting down, I generally put my leg through one of the arm straps.
Do you actually consciously do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, for that very reason, and to I was on a train heading to Amsterdam Schiphol 10 plus years ago, and 2 stops away, I'm sitting next to the door. The doors are opening. My colleague, I was working offshore at the time. My colleague, we were just coming home. He was facing me. The train guy blows the whistle. The doors are about to shut, and somebody just pokes their arm through and just grabs the backpack from below my seat.
Seriously.
And my colleague's looking at
really
me.
Long arms.
My colleague's looking at me going, he just stole your bag. And I'm like, what? Doors are shut. And I'm like, the door's already moving. I'm going,
oh my God.
What do you do? Got it. So with that in mind, when you remember.
Did you look for the little break glass thing, stop train?
No, I never.
No. You were just you were paralyzed with, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah. I was just at the window going, eh?
Because
I actually was so in shock when we got to the airport. Before going to the police station in the airport, I went to the bathroom, and it was only after I left that I realized I was in the women's bathroom. I was just in a blur. I had my laptop, had a hard drive. I'd just gotten like 40 gigs of music from a guy on the rig. Had photos on there that there was no other copy. And yeah.
I would if it heaven help anyone who ever tries to steal anything from me. I will fuck them up something chronic. Right?
If you find them, or even if you notice,
I'm
the guy that stole your sunglasses managed to get away.
I'm fast, right? That's because I had about 3 beers before that. That's the other backstory there. It's like how to make yourself an easy target. Go to a foreign country and drink 3 or 4 beers in a bar, and and be alone. Because I was alone at that point in time, and in the bar, and that's okay. Well, obviously, easy target. Anyway, what was the point? There was a funny story about that. That was the night a girl pulled a gun out on me. Yeah, that was a very weird night.
What the heck?
Yeah. Well, so I was out in the. Here we go. So was in the bar having a few beers, and people coming in, going out, got chatting to a girl there, and she's not very forward. She's like, you want to go to a club later, after the bar closes? And like, was there any kind of, because I have listen to rock music and stuff, and didn't want to go to like that doesn't really appeal to me very much, because I actually like to talk to people, and usually if it's just like so loud that you can't,
don't do not go to a club if you really want to have a good
yeah
generally going to be too loud,
yeah and I don't
go
know,
to a club to dance.
I like guitars in my music. If I can't find a guitar in it or a piano, then I get a bit lost. So anyway.
Yeah, for me, I don't mind at all guitar or piano-less music. I'm quite a big fan of electronic and dance.
The thing is, I listen to a lot of electronic music, and there's some of it that I really like, but I like the creative element of the music. There's a lot of music which I think is not very well constructed or created or original, or it just follows 4/4 time constantly all the way through, and all the changes are really predictable, and that just doesn't appeal to me at all. Or like, yeah, I tell you what's kind of cool, if like songs where the tempo changes and things speed up and slow down, it's kind of really, really interesting. But you don't find that in clubs, because people can't dance to that, because it has to be the same kind of thing going on. Anyway,
maybe, I mean, that is a negative generally for like a club night, a house music or trance, techno.
Yeah,
it's always the same tempo generally, and that is for me
a major
stifle.
What do they call that stuff? Is it called break or something, where it's like 160 BPM club music? Have you? Because I was this is a thing, right? This is a thing, right? I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to, like, if you're aware of those speeds, like 120 BPM, 140, and like 160 is a pretty, if you're jogging,
it's
right?
It's fast. It's good for jogging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Drum and bass is probably around 160.
They have clubs, and I believe, you have to check it out. I believe it's called break music, and I'm not sure if that's because there's a high probability you'll break something if you try to dance to it, but like 160 BPM, and that's not the most extreme. And I had
that is a really good tempo for running.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, but try dancing to that. It's a challenge.
Be like a two-step almost.
It's a challenge. It's a good workout though as well, I tell you.
That would be really good for maybe like a ska style dance, where it's kind of like 1 foot.
Yeah, I think that's all you can
show
do.
You another.
I think there's only like 2 different moves that people can do when they're like a 160 BPM thing.
Quick little jumps.
It's some kind of spasmodic movement, and it's quite, because somebody showed me once, and I was just speechless. I was just like, well, that really wouldn't be much fun for me, to be honest. Anyway, what's the point? Clubs. So this girl was really forward, right? And she's like, you want to go to some club? Is it some kind of rock? Yeah, there's a rock club, like plays rock music, and we go on. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And she's being all forward, and I'm being all, yeah, whatever, not thinking very much. let's have another beer, see where this goes. And so bar closes, and bar close. Did the bars in Barcelona close earlier, or are they ones that kind of open all night? It might have been open, and we just left because of whatever. Anyway, so it's a city. You don't know where you are. It's dark. It's night. You're just going down some streets, and she's like, "Oh, it's just over here. It's around the next corner, and just down here, just down here." And after a while, the little voice in the back of my head is going, "Wait a minute, it doesn't look too good." And we get to the street, and it's really dark down the street. It's just down here. I'm like, oh, okay. What am I getting myself into here? And we go down, and she stops at this door, and she's like, "Oh, this is the back door to the club. This is, the way I usually go in because of, I don't know, blah 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 blah, rock chick stuff. I don't know." And she's like, "Oh, I just got to get something out of my bag." She's pulling stuff out of her bag, and she pulls out a gun. And I'm like, "What?" And she's holding it. She's like pointing. No, I just got this for protection, Protection from what? She's like, well, you never know. I'm like, shit, brick. But it was okay because she put it back. She put it back in her bag and we went into the club.
Yeah. Okay.
And it really was a club. Relief. Yeah.
I thought you were going to get robbed or shot.
I thought I was in over my head, to be honest, because I wasn't used to being picked up by a girl. Right. It was it was the other way around in my experience. Yeah.
Bend over, boy.
Yeah, well, I guess it works different ways in different countries, right? I guess there's different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
It was a good night. We kind of danced all night in the club, and I can't remember much about what happened in the morning because it was a lot of nonsense. And I think I made the mistake of not staying in the center of the city. That was a mistake.
So handy.
Yes.
Yeah, we were staying like right in the center.
Yeah.
In the Gothic area, and beautiful views.
Yeah, and things are always happening. And you just pop
swimming
out.
pool on the roof.
You serious?
Yeah.
Swimming pool on the roof.
Yeah. Well, literally, you could do like 4 strokes and you'd be at the other end. It was about 6 meters long, but still
nice.
Epic. Great place.
Was it warm?
No. It was very cold. So I was managing to keep my cold water training going whilst away.
Wow, that's
I didn't
cool.
see anybody else going in that pool.
Well, they're all lightweights out there. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They're all used to everything being warm.
Very hot.
Very
hot summers there.
Yeah, so stay in the center, stay central. It's always a good idea. Because I remember in the morning I had to get some bus to the middle of nowhere where I was staying, and I remember thinking, this is just ridiculously stupid. Because like, you have to get like the first bus in the morning or something, and you're half cut from the night before, and the bus driver just looks at you like you're a piece of filth, which you are when you're on his bus. And you've been out all night, and it's whatever time in the morning. Anyway, so Barcelona.
It's an amazing city for various reasons. The architecture, their history. They've managed to keep alive and protect a lot of the old churches. They're still working on the Gaudi church, the Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, still working. They've been building that for about 300 years.
A long time, at least 100 years since he was alive, I believe. But it's amazing. I mean, it looks beautiful outside, apart from seeing the cranes doing the construction.
Yeah.
And then inside, like, it's breathtaking.
Do they make you wear a hard hat?
No, luckily inside it's all safe.
Yeah.
Nothing falling down. So yeah, depending on what time of day you go, like, so it is a church. So at times of the week, it will be used as a church without all the tourists.
Does it have a roof on it?
Yeah, very high roof. So inside, it's almost like futuristic, in my opinion.
Is there a mixture of styles there? It's like a mixture of like the old style and
yeah,
new
definitely
style.
outside. Definitely is a mixture. But yeah, inside we went at sunset, and so the sun's coming through from one side and just glowing through these giant coloured panes, leaving some really good reflections on the roof.
Can you take pictures inside?
Yes, you can. And there's a multitude of people taking pictures and video. Just everywhere you look, someone's got a camera taking a picture. I, on this occasion, just chose to more so enjoy the moment. So yeah, sat down in the pew and for about 20-30 minutes and just enjoyed the view.
It's the way to do it. It's the way to do it there, definitely. And so it's actually a functioning church as well. They have services in it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Definitely. So yeah, there will be some cut-off times where maybe the Sagrada Familia is for the locals, or anyone who's a member of that church. And so at specific times, yeah, they will have it all to themselves, which would be amazing to experience when it's purely for worship, and it's a lot quieter without hundreds of people from all nations.
I had a crazy experience in that church, actually, because you can climb up the towers to the top and observe the view. Okay. Yeah, and like as you get to the top, there's less and less. When I was there a long time ago, there was less and less space until you get like the very top, and there's a tiny little like platform for people, and you stand there. I got to the top. When I got to the top, one of my friends was there. I was like, whoa.
That's
okay.
Cool.
I was like, what are you doing here? I don't know. On holiday. What are you doing here? Well, escape. So yeah, just getting away from everyone to come here to meet everyone again. Yeah. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You met some skaters, no?
Yeah, there was some skateboarders from Elgin and Lossie there, and I met them on the bus.
Were they going there to skate?
Yep, they were there to skate for a week, I believe. Maybe less than a week.
How do you take your board? Because I'm really curious about all the little things. How do you take your board with you when you go to skate in another country? Can you take it like on the plane with you in your hand, or?
I don't think there's any specific rules. I think it depends on the airline you're working with, the airport. I did notice that one guy getting on the Barcelona to Edinburgh plane, he had his skateboard with him, which was going to go like
up in the compartment above your head. Yeah.
So that surprised me, because other times when I've taken my skateboard, they've gone, no, you can't take it on the plane. So then you have to go through, the whole bit in the cargo.
Do you have to like then pack it especially? I mean, are you like just about to get on the plane and like say no, you can't take that, or because
on occasions, yeah. And then on another occasion, I had a longboard and I put it on to literally just put a sticker on the base in the middle. That's your sticker. They scan that, boom, that's connected to you. That's going on that flight. Well, it came back from like we've been in Cyprus or so. I can't remember where. But yeah, somehow my skateboard had got jammed, and one of the skateboard wheels had almost been laved off.
What?
And there was literally nothing left of that wheel. So it got jammed somewhere, and was making a right state of my board, and hopefully the machine was all right. But yeah.
So you can't just put it in the hold? Well,
you can, but it depends on who you speak to. Like I went with Ryanair to Barcelona 2 years ago with a skateboard, and I thought it was fine. But on the way back, Ryanair was like, "No, you can't." Anyway,
Do you have to pay extra then if you're putting it
yeah,
in?
that's the thing with Ryanair. They try and jam you for anything they can. Um,
Oh, it's two
so
centimeters too long. We need another £50.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Sneaky,
opportunists.
sneaky.
Hmm.
I hate it when there's an extra charge that they don't tell you about. That really is really not customer service. And customer centric, customer orientated companies are going to tell you this is the price, that's it.
Hmm.
There's nothing extra. When companies start, well, this is the basic price, and then there's your booking fee, which they don't tell you about, and then there's tax for something that they don't tell you about, and then there's some weird kind of CO2 charge, or I don't know, whatever they levy on stuff nowadays. And it's like, and then I'm like, but that's not the original price.
Yeah. I got a few experiences of that recently. One was a Kickstarter project that I backed, and the delivery fee was like £30. Fair enough, it's coming from America. And then probably about 2 months later, they're saying, if you pay us like another £80, then it's delivery friendly. You're not going to get any custom charges. We'll deal with that. Yeah, I paid it, but I messaged them yesterday because for whatever reason we're in contact again, and I was telling them like this is not right because they went up front with how much it was going to cost. So yeah, I could risk like just facing the customs charges, but maybe it's going to be more than £80. I don't know. So I'm a bit peeved off that they didn't take that into consideration when doing the initial delivery fees.
Why don't they just give, like, I know that people like there's this well, I'll just look at the price and that's it. Yeah. But things that I like about eBay, there's no hidden cost. I can see a product, I can see the price, and I know I'm not going to get hit for anything else on top of that price at all. And I feel so confident. Advertisement for eBay. I feel so confident like buying through that company because I know that I'm not going to get hit for any extra charge at any point in time.
Yeah, like even if you're getting stuff sent from China, there is no extra charge. It's generally termed as e-packet. E-packet's some sort of model where companies from China are not going to get charges for delivering to, say, Europe, to America. So we're not going to get these surprise custom charges. However, I did on a few packages that were sent from China. So it just does sour the experience a little bit. And then you wonder why that product was that cheap. And then, oh yeah, that's because I got custom charged as well. But nevertheless, there was a guy in Barcelona who was selling the roses. And he met us in a shopping mall. So he came over and was chatting to us, and we're like, what's he up to? Chatted for a bit, said, oh, okay, yeah, his brother's in London, Manchester, very good. That's where I'm originally from. And he says, oh, your girlfriend's very beautiful. These are for you. But he gave them to me to give to her. And I'm like, okay, there you go. These are from him. And we carried on chatting for a bit. And then about 2 minutes later, he's like, €2. And I'm like, dude, you said it was a gift. You know what? It was really nice speaking to him. But when that turned around, you're just like, it's like the additional charges. You're like, if you'd just known, maybe you would have.
Yeah, be upfront about it. It's like if, like I've seen these, I don't know if they're homeless or whatever, people on the street selling those magazines that they sell to make money to live, right?
Big issue.
And yeah, and in different countries they have like different versions of it. Yeah, so I've seen it like in a lot of different countries, and I've seen so many of these sellers, like you buy the magazine from them, and then they ask you for more money, and they're like, I just need €2 more after you buy.
Really? Never experienced that. I would prefer to just give them money and say, keep the magazine. I'm not going to read it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I once had a debate with somebody about, whether or not to give money to people in that kind of situation. And I'd rather give anything but money. I'd rather give time. I'd rather give they probably don't want advice, but I might give that, or I'd rather buy food myself and give them some of the food that I bought than give them the money, just because I think that they might be in that kind of situation because they've been unable to handle the money in the first place.
Yeah, sure.
And giving them more of something without knowing if you're contributing to the problem might not be such a good idea. On the other hand, it might save their life. I don't know. I just don't have enough information there. But I always think that I've been in situations where I've got like some shopping and I've I don't know, bought some apples or something or whatever, and I'd be like, look, here's a bag of apples, rather than give them
give them food instead.
Yeah,
see what they say.
yeah.
If they're not up for
Yeah,
something
yeah.
healthy,
Yeah.
so be.
Yeah, that's it. And then you see from their reaction if they're really grateful for that. Or they're like, oh wow, thank you very much. I'm like, oh, any little bit I can do to help, I'll do it.
Sure.
But if they go like, and have you got any money? It's just like, come on, you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Right. Or
I once gave a homeless person about 70 euros, actually back in Barcelona.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my daily budget.
Okay.
And I hadn't spent anything, and I was just reading a book on a bench, and this
That's an amazing
girl
thing to do.
was looking a bit ragged.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave her like that money, explained why, and she was amazed because she was like, right, that's good. I can wash my clothes.
Yep.
And I don't have to go and sleep on the beach for like the next 3 nights at least. So she was very thankful.
That's
as a woman, she got a lot of hassle as well from other homeless people, and just
that's
nowhere.
That's crazy.
Protected.
Yeah.
So she was pretty thankful.
I mean, look, it's one thing if you're a guy and you're homeless, right? If you're a woman and you're homeless, it must be a complete nightmare because there must be like zero security in that situation.
I'd imagine a dog is a really good thing to have if you're homeless. Maybe if it's going to protect you.
Well, in that sense,
bark, at least alert you to a situation that might be arising, someone sketchy,
protection,
checking you out or going to approach.
Well, there's also the whole psychology of having a dog, which is people like dogs. And so, everyone's like, oh, it's usually a semi-cute dog. And it's, oh, you're such a nice dog. And it's a conversation starter as well. If someone's got a dog. So it's a way of bridging the gap in certain situations. And dogs like other dogs as well. So, you go out and their dog plays with another dog and they get talking to somebody. So,
do we have any particular
point
to
our thing today?
We're great at going off.
Oh yeah, okay. Focus. We need to focus.
Do we have a focus?
We do have a focus.
Yeah.
Well, the focus was good and bad ideas for art, which I didn't mention at the start.
Okay.
Because we both have this. We did. It's up the top there. It's 33 minutes 30 seconds so far. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. You take a break because you've been busy doing. He's been busy doing a hell of a lot of things this morning. Oh, there you go. He's been out and about. Nate's been out and about. I didn't do any introduction. I just started. I didn't say my name's G. I'm your host. Dun dun dun. And I also didn't introduce Nate. From Nate Portraits and Murray Jewell, who lives just down the road and hangs out and drops in whenever he can. So he showed me his pictures. He's been out. He's got all his camera gear just over there, out of the view. And he was out this morning taking pictures of the sunrise, and they're absolutely incredible photographs. And he takes so, like a lot of artists, he does so much great work, and then and then he keeps a lot of it to himself. Like I'm always trying to tell him, put out more. I got these videos, put out more of the videos, put out more of the pictures. He's like, no, I'm just gonna put out a little bit here, a little bit there, one or two little shots. And I think that, And we have this debate. We have this debate about, quality and content. And I'm very much a believer that through quantity, you will get to some level of quality. However, that's not the full picture, because scarcity also creates value. So the less there is of something, the more valuable it is. And you see this with companies like Apple. When they produce new products, they have a limited amount of that new product that they release. There's scarcity. There's not a high volume of the product. People want the product because the advertising and marketing is losing my voice. Excuse me. The advertising and the marketing is good. They know what the public wants, and people make a big investment in Apple, and it's a brand leader, it's a market leader, and they can charge high prices because there's not a lot of the product available at the beginning, and they generally tend to sell out. The same has been true recently for things like Facebook's Oculus system. So Facebook's Oculus system has it's my daughter with a panda. Which which has a name of a character from Lord of the Rings, which is kind of crazy because she hasn't watched Lord of the Rings. So anyway, so what was I talking about? Quality and scarcity and value. So value can be dictated by quality. It can also be dictated by scarcity. Give you a crude example of that, right? If there's a so the crude example of the quality, scarcity, etc. debate is the girl. It's a story about the girl in the class who kisses all the boys, right? The girl in the class who the girl in the class who kisses things going on. The girl in the class who kisses all the boys. Her kiss is completely devalued. Yeah, it's because she's kissed all the boys in the class. It's like the kiss is cheap, and anybody can get it anywhere. Because it's cheap, and anybody can get it anywhere. Nobody respects it. Nobody values it. And so, if you limit what you produce or what you give or what you put out, then it tends to have a higher value. And so with art, very often when there's a limited quantity of something, when there's a limited number of something, you can actually charge a higher value for it. It's a marketing strategy, but it's also nice to have something which is unique, special, individual, rare, something that other people don't have. That's why original paintings are so expensive, I imagine. I also imagine it's a bit crazy to be paying like 50 million for a work of art by, I don't know, Picasso or Braque or Cézanne or Van Gogh or whoever. I got my own theories about that. I got my own theories that it's a great way to transfer large amounts of money around the planet if you do it through art and art galleries and auctions. So not everything is what it appears to be, which doesn't mean that it's bad at all. It just means there's more to the picture than meets the eye. And so Nate was off out this morning catching the sunrise, and he was I don't know if he was doing a film or if he was doing like pictures or what were you? Both.
Yeah, so I was documenting with video me going out to get a sunrise.
Oh wow!
And I took a picture of me.
Documenting the sunrise.
Yeah.
That's such a great idea. That's such a great idea because more than the business, people invest in the people in the business. And I think more than the art, people invest in the artist. I think the art needs to be good at the end of the day. But from my personal experience, 9 out of 10 people who buy art, and I'm talking about original art, not just some kind of print that's on some random website somewhere, or not something you pick up in IKEA or whatever. 9 out of 10 people who buy art buy it because of the artist. That's why they buy it. Like I've known painters in my life who were fucking terrible, right? It's the stuff that it looks like a child painted it, but an adult painted it. Yeah, I mean, and look, hey, we have to realize not everybody is good at everything, right? Right. I'm not a good racing car driver. I'm not a good pilot. I'm not even a good cook, right? So there's a hell of a lot of stuff that we're not good at in life, and the same is true with art. Same is true with music as well. There's a lot of music that's just not quality. Now, individual differences, individual preferences, take that into account as well. There's also different fashions and different periods of things as well. And different things mean different things in different countries, right? What might sell for $1 million here might be laughed at somewhere else. There might be a better way to spend $1 million as well. So, what was the point I was making? I don't know.
And buying off, you're buying.
Yeah. So the people buy the art. That's why I need somebody else here, because I just forget what I'm talking about. The people I know, they bought the art, they bought the painting because they know the painter, not because the painting was great. And that's why the artist is as important as the art, I think.
Yeah, very valid. To add to that, I would say it's also to do with like the hype around either the artist or hype around the hype. So it can exponentially get way more interest for that specific artist and for that specific work because other people like it. So other people jump on, oh, that's that artist, that's that musician, that's that famous person and maybe they're not actually interested, but because they're famous, because they have already a following, it's so much easier to then get more of a following.
I think that, and I'm nobody, so maybe this is stupid, right? But I think that art and artists exist to move people. And I think one of the best ways to sell art, and this is really complex, a very complicated way to do it, but still one of the best, is to create or be part of a movement. Because that's how we look at if you look at the history of art, great artists who are, there's thousands of artists painting in different genres, but only a few are ever, recognized by everybody. So if we're talking about Impressionism or I don't know, post-impressionism, cubism, modernism, whatever. I think that people get into it because it's more than a picture. It's a whole movement. And at the center of that movement are interesting people who are going out doing things in a different way. And artists are leaders, really, and this is clearly understood if you look at religion. Because what is it that a religion what is it that religion really sponsors a lot of the time? It's really art. If you look throughout history, if anybody wants to build a church, you don't want to build an ugly church, you want to build a beautiful church. Right?
So you'll hire the best architects.
Yep.
And then take like the Sistine Chapel, for example. You've got Michelangelo who did the paintings on the inside and the roof. Like they hired like the best artists to inspire, to create that that awe. And you're hiring those artists for your cause. Yeah. To make your cause look even more impressive.
Well, absolutely. And we want to, we want to highlight the good things of the world. We want to highlight the beautiful elements of the planet that we live on, and the great aspects of human character. And creativity is a great aspect of human character because it leads to innovation and solutions to problems, and we need that within, and that's the core of a lot of culture. The core of a lot of culture is creativity, and the artists, whether you're painting a picture or taking a photograph or making a piece of music, the artists are at the center of that. And wherever there is great art that is produced, there is great movement through society. And you see it through any society that you look at through history. The period of enlightenment was a period of great art. Yeah, and you can argue about postmodernism.
Agree. I mean, there are times. I mean, I look at certain. I lived in Manchester when the Hacienda days was big, but I was too young to enjoy it. But that was a movement that had a collective of people and maybe a leader or a few that helped guide and create a home for these artists. Collective, yeah. Very important.
You can't do it alone. You need something to sharpen the sword against. The sword is best sharpened on another sword. And the culture creators who do exist, there are, if you look at governments, you'll find a culture creation department in most governments. It's something that people don't think about, but they understand the value of culture. Like Britpop didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't just rise out of nowhere. It was, can I say architected? Is that a word? Designed? It was manufactured, but I don't mean manufactured in a bad way. Yeah, I mean that it was nurtured into existence, where you had a very simplified example. You had Blur on one side and Oasis on the other, the same way that you had the Beatles on one side and Rolling Stones. Pulp. There you go. Pulp. I was thinking about that band just yesterday. Funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the song Babies?
No.
I remember that when I was at university. It was a great song. And did they have Disco 2000? The Carnival 2000, yes, Disco 2000? Disco 2000. That
was a great song. Yeah, great video.
Yeah.
So Common People, great song.
There's just this sparking of fireworks in my mind of the glory days of dancing around in small clubs and hitting my head off the ceiling, which happened.
Not for me.
We all have different experiences. I just remember there was a club when I was at university. There was a club that was in somebody's house. Somebody turned their living room into a club, and it was a really small living room.
Could you buy drinks there?
Yeah. My memories are a bit foggy and hazy of those days, but it was cool because it was like the only independent place, and you could buy. I'm pretty sure you could buy everything and anything there. Just looked like somebody's house, but you go in and it was a club. Why not? It's not going to turn my house into a club.
Well, doesn't the name public house come from people making their homes or a room into a place where people can go and drink? I am aware that the town nearby, like the Birkhead, that at one point had over 40 public houses.
Well, Birkhead had over 40 pubs.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I would imagine the scenario would have been that when that was a very, very flourishing fishing village with dozens of fishing boats, when that crew would come in, maybe the skipper's wife, maybe the skipper had a pub, that whole crew would go in and they would drink for a day or few or more. So I would imagine that the clientele would have been more select within families and boats, crews and whatnot.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Well, it's people don't really have a strong grasp of history, and if you look down throughout history, alcohol was not readily available to people. It wasn't. It was very difficult to come by, and people had monopolies on it. One of those religions had monopolies on it. That's one of the reasons that they got, one of the reasons how they got people into the churches was that you would get a little bit of alcohol, and it wasn't a bad thing, because a little bit of the poison is the cure, right? So people were sick and they would have some strong alcohol that would actually help them. But it wasn't until about 250 years ago that there was, with industrialization and the growth of independent breweries, that alcohol became much more readily available for populations, and it led to interesting things and difficult choices happening, where eventually you had like America saying you can't drink until you're 21, and you had Russia saying you could fucking drink as much as you want, whenever you want.
And speaking of America, then you had the stage where the saloons were just all over the place. Moonshine, illegal stills, the prohibition phase, which was probably a good thing.
Well, they tried to ban the alcohol because it was religious.
Well, everybody was drinking. Like Parliament, was Congress. They were all drunk. I watched a whole series on that era, and it was absolute chaos. And very often, guys would get paid for the week's work on a Friday, and often a lot of families, the mothers, the children, wouldn't see that money because the mom wouldn't even get home. They would just go straight to the pub, maybe just drink all weekend.
Good business
to be in, definitely, but not good for the family. So it was women that started the push to stop and put a clamp down on the drinking.
It's I mean that's there's huge cultural things that are relevant there, and me spending time out in Central Eastern Europe, I got a completely different perspective on things, good and bad on all sides. And just as a baseline, I sort of believe that I believe in people, and I believe that if you actually give people choices at the end, they'll make the right choice. So I think I'm for kind of stripping the rules and telling people, look, make the choices for yourself. And here's the example I give, right? There's a horrible drink called absinthe, which is like 70-80% strength alcohol, and will fuck you up, something chronic. And I tried it a couple of times, and it did what it was supposed to do, right? And it's not.
Was that its original aim, or was it used as a?
I think it was used as a medicine. Originally.
Disinfectant.
Well, the word alcohol and the word alchemy have the same root. Dun, dun, dun. So originally alcohol was a medicine, and so you can go into any shop basically out in Slovakia and you can buy a bottle of absinthe, right? But people don't. They don't, because they know it'll screw you up. And that's sort of and if you're young in certain parts of the world, there's very few age restrictions on. In certain parts of the world, there's very few age restrictions on going to bars and buying drinks, and you don't find a lot of young people going into bars and buying drinks. They make the choice that no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get involved in that culture. And so I think that being self-determinist in a lot of cultures is the beginning of the process of responsibility in that way. The same way in France, it's like, the 14-year-olds can drink wine or something like that. And it's not considered bad. And so I think in moderation, with good people around about you, it's cool. If you're surrounded by a group of messed up people, that's different kettle of smoked bacon or whatever you want to stick in your kettle. But that's just
my
me.
First drinking buddy turned out to be an alcoholic. That wasn't a good start to my relationship with alcohol. Anyway, I want to get to the point, kind of back to what you were saying.
Sorry, or something?
No, something else. Things being a taboo.
Oh, okay.
If if you're not allowed to drink, or you can't do that, when you are actually then given the opportunity, free reign to make those choices, you will probably go overboard and kind of fulfill that freedom to make the choice and maybe buy it or drink a hell of a lot. That's generally the scenario with like Catholic churches. You're not, in girls' schools.
Oh my God! That the worst idea in human history is in fact a Catholic girls' school. In principle, it's great, but in practice, so many things that are principled as great, such as Marxism, in principle is great, but it fails to take into account the dark side of human nature. It just tends to say everyone's going to share equally and everything's going to be beautiful, and we've tried it many times in many countries, and it's always ended disastrously. This idea. So, do you want a story about that? I right next to my university, first university that I went to, was
country.
Yeah, it was near London. Because I was like, I grew up here, and I was like, I'm getting out of here because I don't understand this place, and the world's big, and there's big bright. I want to go where there's bright lights and loud music and noise, because I grew up in the countryside, and I watched too many TV shows that stuff was cooler in the city. So off I went, not knowing what I was getting into at all. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and right next to the university buildings and the halls of residence was a Catholic girls' school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you want to make it even worse? Catholic girls' boarding school.
Mm-hmm. Oh Lord.
Oh dear. I don't.
Are you able to speak further about this online? Be careful.
Look, let me play fair, right? There must be good examples in the world of Catholic girls' schools where everyone follows the Christian Catholic edicts and principles. There must be. Now, I have never in my life come across one of these, or not that I was looking, right? Or met someone who's like, oh no, that was a really good. Oh, you know who else went to a very strong Catholic girls' school? Like my partner, right? And I say, like, Catholic girl, and she'll start laughing, right? Because she's like, they were the wild ones, right? Because the beach ball principle, or like when you push it down underwater and you repress it and then you let go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flies up in the air, and it's like what you were saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you say to someone, don't, whatever you do, don't open that door, eventually someone's going to get curious and going to go and open the door.
Especially if you don't have a good relationship. So like as a parent that's saying no,
yeah,
and you're going to be like, F you, yes.
Yeah.
Same with the teachers.
Do you remember the film Footloose?
Yeah, I love that film.
Really? Shake my hand.
Great soundtrack, some funny, amazing dancing.
Oh yeah. Kevin Bacon doing his thing. There's those films, right? There's just those films that are sort of, they got energy and they're happy and they belong to a certain period of time, and they mark something.
You've got Kenny Loggins music.
That
classic 80s.
I was secret side. I was actually listening to that song yesterday.
Footloose.
I was listening to Footloose yesterday. Great. What a song! And
if you haven't heard it, like go check out Kenny Loggins. He's got some classics from like the film Footloose. song.
Yeah.
Is that called Footloose?
Yeah, and he didn't.
He was also got some songs in Top Gun.
Top Gun. Yeah, and Footloose got remade a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And it got redone, so averagely good, and the soundtrack was updated, same songs, but done in a different style, but still cool. And Top Gun's coming out again. So that'll be interesting. And
Back to it. Great film.
Oh,
classic 80s.
Yeah, and
some really ridiculous scenes of him just like angry and going off dancing.
Get
it out of his system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dancing's good for you.
Yeah, and it's like if you want a great film that's not about guns, drugs, and blowing people's heads off, right? If you want like
a good message to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like the main girl that Kevin Bacon falls for, and she falls for him. She's a wild child. Her father is a reverend father, or would you say?
It's classic, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a classic story.
And she was the rebel. She was going against him because he didn't understand. He didn't listen to her, and that fracture in their relationship made her rebel.
Yeah,
and it all comes around in the end, and they do.
Yeah, because at the
end,
and at the end, the religious guy takes a step back, and he's like, okay, I made a mistake with all these rules. Which is kind of interesting, because I just finished my latest article this morning, which was just all about rules, the positive side and the bad side of if you got the right rules in place, because then it'll keep you on the right road. But life's not a straight road. So what happens when you like cross over the line, or cross over? What happens when you're out with those rules? Because
you're in new territory. Like, what are the rules? Do you have to experiment to find out? Do you have a strategy in place?
Well, the final point in the article, I was making lots of different points in the article, but the final point in the article was, in life, you have to be very aware if people are playing by the same rules that you're playing by. Now, and you can look at this in many different ways in terms of friendships and business and whatever else. But you have to realize that if somebody else is playing the same game as you, but they're not playing by the same rules, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble. And a lot of life is gamification.
Sure. I don't know if it's going to be like trouble, but maybe one's going to be more successful if they can hack that game, that system. And gamification is a really interesting motivation even. I heard that there's a group of hackers, a real impressive group of individuals that are working freelance for like security companies and governments, and they have created a team of people that are looking for missing people.
Okay.
So, and they've gamified the whole system. So in terms of them collecting data, they've gamified it to kind of spur them on and see it as a game to kind of keep their spirits up while also doing something that is maybe slightly dull when they're just analyzing data. But it's also coming back with some really good results of finding people that were not even looked for because the system is over defunded or unfunded to do such a thing.
People are overloaded with that kind of thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, so was it 300 in Britain? Like 300 people disappear per day or something like that. It's really, I'm serious. Like, I mean, it's
what happens? Where do they go?
No, look, you want
you
want to talk statistics, right? And because I read a variety of news stories, and statistics are stunning because whatever the newspaper will put something on the front page and it'll be shocking, but it won't be the statistical average of what's happening. Like, so 300 people will disappear per day. God knows where they go, what happens to them, right? Not only that, there's this incredible statistic I read last year, and I don't know why this. I'll tell you why this is on my mind, because we're getting close to winter. It's getting colder, and it was on my mind because it was a statistic about winter. Every day in the UK in winter, 300 people die in their own homes from the cold because they have no money for heating.
What?
Every single day
You
in
sure?
yes.
That's a hell of a big
yes, I know.
number
I
per
know.
day.
Per day. Yep. If you what it is they don't tell you per day, right? They give you a number per year, right? They give you a number per year, and then they say because of cold and winter. And if you divide that number by the number of days, you get 300 people per day in winter die in their own homes because they don't have money for heating.
This has been on my mind for many years because I've heard, and it's from my awareness, it's generally older people that don't have money. Maybe they've got a small pension.
Yep.
And they're choosing to buy food over
Yep.
heating.
Yep.
This is a shocking scenario where who's complicit in this? Is it the government?
Yeah.
Is it the energy suppliers? Why aren't these people being supported?
Where's the family?
Yeah, where's the family?
It's because obviously these people don't come from nowhere. They've obviously got relations of some kind. They worked somewhere in their life because they got to old age. They obviously worked for somewhere in some companies. They don't live in an isolated place. They must live surrounded by other people as well. And how is it that they fall through all of those safety nets? That to me is absolutely unbelievable. And the crazy thing is that when it gets colder and it's getting towards December and in winter and stuff, it's something that I'd always remember reading about that and going, that's just outrageous. And it's sort of it's one of those crazy statistics that's just constantly swept under the carpet, I think, because nobody kind of knows what to do about it, because it shouldn't exist in the first place.
Well, what could you do about it? I mean, like what could you do about it? I mean, the energy suppliers, could there be a support? Like you qualify to get heating, fund a grant to give you enough heating to keep you going for the winter. I mean, that would be a major benefit for a lot of people.
Yeah, it might not be the energy company's fault. Maybe these people just don't communicate their state or their situation to people. Maybe they're embarrassed about it, or maybe they don't know how to communicate about it because it's not talked about in general. So, and there's this general philosophy that the energy companies are sort of evil money grabbers, but the energy business is a very complicated business, and to provide energy is not something which is a simple process. And so
once it's all set up as it is, I'm sure it's keep it rolling, then it'll work. But it's a very complex system. But perhaps like people, like an old person who needs support for whatever reason, maybe it could be a case of like the government saying, energy suppliers, please, I don't like this scenario personally, but here is money, not that you need it. You make sure that person has enough supply for the winter time, and then multiply that by however many people need it.
Well, it's one of those, and I like the way that you point out a possible solution there, because I don't want to sit here and shit on people and say it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, it's that person's fault, because life is complicated, right? But those statistics are crazy. And if you look through the papers in winter, it comes up, at least once during winter, there's some story somewhere about how hard it is for older people in those kinds of situations. And we forget that older people need the same amount of care as younger people, because life is the up and the down, right? The first 15 years of life are pretty tough and traumatic for a lot of people, and I imagine the last 15 years of life are probably pretty traumatic and tough for a lot of people as well. So it's crazy. And another thing, after having lived out in other places for years, the average temperature in a British home is about 7 degrees lower than the average temperature in a European home.
That's because of what? Because of the weather, the external weather.
No, it's just cultural. It's what the imagined correct temperature should be. So whereas in Slovakia, like homes should be 22 degrees, in Britain homes should be 15, and that's no matter what the weather. You should always have that constant. It's interesting that how different countries have different standards, and people tend to think that whatever's here is the best, and some of it is fantastic, but we still need to learn from what other people are doing, and the world's a big place, 200 countries and so many different cultures and styles that there's always something that we can learn from looking at other people's systems as well, which is kind of important. Hell's bells. Hell's bells.
Hell's bells.
Yeah. We got to foot loose rather than
just been
a
whole nother tangent of
it went off. We didn't even get to all the stories about all the things being stolen that we got.
Or how to sell landscape photographs.
How to sell landscape photographs. Let's sell it, damn it. Just put a number on it. No, well.
Does that mean we need to be a bit more
focused?
Yeah.
No, I need to be more focused. You're perfectly focused. I'm all over the shop, mate. So I blame me constantly.
Okay. I'll blame you too.
Yeah, thank you. That reaffirms my belief that that I am
You're the one with this wonderful notepad with
no notes on it.
It's some highlights of points to
not
make.
Well, yeah.
But good chat.
Thank you. Right. Do you know what it's going to be? I think it's going to be like the bait is going to be like, we're going to do it today, and we're never if we ever actually get to it, it'll be really sad.
Perhaps like a list of points or subjects, topics.
Yeah.
And today, first one is yay.
Yeah.
It'll be this.
And then moving on. Yes, and here's the time limit.
Yeah.
And moving on.
Good goals to perhaps consider trying next time.
Yes. Well, mix it up, right? Mix it up, because if both structured and unstructured time feed off each other. You can't have one without the other, right?
So we passed the hour.
We passed everything.
Yeah.
We just.
Which means it is.
Yeah, it means you're late for whatever it is you want to do.
I'm actually speaking today at Moray to a class of filmmakers.
Yeah.
So I've been invited to speak, and it's going to be video conference because most of the students are not based in Moray. Allness, I believe, is where the majority of these filmmaking students are going to be based. Anyway, so I'm speaking to them for between 20 and 30 minutes with a Q&A at the end. The aim of it is to share my experiences, share some links to videos, and answer some questions about my experiences with filmmaking.
I hope that there'll be some way for you to record that, because that sounds like it's something really unique and special.
Yeah, that's maybe I'll ask.
Yeah, if it can be recorded in some way, and then you can stick it up on your website or share it, or just cut out a little 2 minutes of it.
Sure, some snippets of the good bits.
Yeah. Every presentation has got that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I was thinking of maybe I could just set up a camera too and film some of it at least. But yeah, it should be. Yeah,
because that's you're going to be creative during the presentation. If you can document some of that creativity, that's more material to explain to them. Hey, look at this. What I'm doing now is another part of the creative process. Sharing is a part. Because
that was one of my aims, was to recommend them. Sometimes it's not about knowing what you're going to create, just start doing it, and maybe the overall picture of the film that you're making, the content that you're recording, will come clear. And I've done that on a few occasions of just helping, say, an artist. I worked with quite a few artists based at Moray College and helping them make a film, and they didn't have an idea. We had some kind of visions for shots. We did that, and then expanded, and then kind of got an idea of what the overall theme of this film was about.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you need to be structured. You need to have everything in place. You need to have every scene in place. And I've done that. And like the topics we were about to speak about today, we didn't get round to it. And one film I made, it was a music video, and I had spent like 5 hours going through the song. Okay, for that first 10 seconds, we're going to have this scene. Next 10 seconds, this scene. None of it happened. And then we only had 2 hours to film, and just rolled with what was possible. And then I just stitched together something completely different, but it still works in its own way.
Well, I heard this story about filmmakers once that just a little story to finish on, that that it's really difficult to hit all your marks and get everything done properly, especially when you're making a big film, because if you consider the 2 to 3 years of processes involved in preparing everything to make a big film, it's funding and script and getting the actors and finding the locations, and then getting the cameraman and getting everything all getting the food crew there so that people get fed, and you're sorting it all out, and you're setting everything up to get the shot that you want, and the sun goes down, and you're like, oh shit, we've missed it.
I think on a big scale, big budget film, that's not going to happen, because there's going to be somebody that is their job to make sure that they start at that specific time, because they already know that the sun's going down in an hour. But on my scale, on my budget, that does happen.
Have you seen the Errol Flynn film where he's drunk on the horse, and they couldn't find him sober during filming? So in almost all the scenes, he's drunk, and in one of the scenes, he's on a horse and he's just swaying from side to side. It's so completely obvious he's trashed. I think it's The Adventures of Don Juan, where he was like drunk through the whole. And so when sometimes you
becomes part of the character of Don Juan.
Well, because Errol Flynn, isn't it?
No choice.
That's the way it goes. Hey, Nate, thank you very much for coming in today. I really appreciate that. It's an absolute pleasure to sit and chat with you and let ideas go.
Yeah, likewise. Forth. Yeah, it's good to just riff and get used to this whole experience of being on a camera and being live, and
doing it live,
chatting.
Yeah, and Nate Portraits is on Facebook. Murray Jewell is on Facebook, and so you can follow Nate's work, and I like to follow it. It's I like to see what you're doing. The creative stuff is very inspirational. I like it. It's cool. Right, we're done. It's Made in Moray Live. Thanks very much for tuning in. I imagine nobody got to the end, but that's okay. Life's a journey, not a destination. Cool.